Captive audience, wonderful Wednesday, and I am back with my pal Don Anderson. It's so wonderful to be back here and be back with you, Don. I've been off for a few weeks. You and I have not been on together Wednesdays for a while.
Yeah, I feel like something was missing in my life here.
Oh,
I,
that's sweet. That's sweet.
I enjoyed working with Kevin, but there's something about wonderful Wednesdays with Sunny. So I'm thrilled to be here.
All right. Well, it's wonderful being back with you. And he and I've been catching up before we're going live right now. And I'll tell you, we are in the last throes of this election, And hey, family. Hey, there Bobby, Pat, and Lori, seeing you guys. And um, we've got some stuff to cover, the ACLU, we're going to just start off right there. Well, first of all, you know what? We always start with some weather. We've got snow on the mountains. We
Whoa.
don't have any at my house
Hmm.
at all, but on the mountains, it is snow covered. And today, seeing rainbows. It was so pretty out today, actually.
That
How is it
is
over there in
awesome.
Vancouver?
Yeah, you can tell I've been out of San Diego for a long time because now I really enjoy the change of seasons. And so now it's dark in the morning till probably 7 or so. The leaves all of a sudden just did a radical change, right? They haven't fallen off yet, but they're just gorgeous. And I'm not sure if the fires caused this, but the deer have been coming down to where we live in the morning, right? So my wife and I almost hit 2 deer in the last 2 days. A big, beautiful deer, right? And I don't know if you see these things up close. They are some of the most amazing creatures that God has made. They really are. So I love this time of year. I mean, I love November. I love the shorter, darker days. We haven't had any rain. The rain is awesome. Now, talk to me again in April and I'll be hating it. But
Right, exactly. And yeah, and so here we are, the start of fall, and it is nice. Oh, Bobby says people are already yelling for summer. No, I've got friends, they're looking forward to, like, Ski Bluewood just got a bunch of snow, and they're going, oh yeah, let's get on the slopes. Can we make
yeah,
it there before
there you
Thanksgiving?
go.
So I don't snow ski, but I know people, that's what they really like.
Yes.
um you got to go out and have some fun, but the
Mhm.
rains, we need the rains, the fires, and frankly, there's the soil needs it. We've got large areas that are in drought, and they need to we need to have the moisture, and this is just the start of it. And we've got the winter wheat, so we've got a bunch of green fields, with the winter wheat sprouting up. It's actually quite pretty around here right now.
That's awesome. Mhm.
So we're going to start now with the ACLU, and they have got this ad that is censoring. I'm putting it into posting it right now. But did you see that article, Don, on the ACLU ad? Censors pro police groups from political participation.
Yes, I did. And the ACLU lost its mind probably 30 or 40 years ago. So it just seems to get more and more outrageous. I mean, you just apply common sense to this. If a society doesn't have police, then how else are you going to enforce the law?
Right,
It's just
exactly.
crazy.
Well, it is crazy, and the ACLU once was known as an advocate for free speech, but
Mhm.
now it's an advocate, openly advocating to blacklist one interest group that would and groups that would support law enforcement. And and as you well know, we've talked about this lots on Captive Audience. We're a nation of laws, and this is the and to see the ACLU being used and partnering with Surge PDX and Unite Oregon Action, and these websites saying that they're dedicated to tolerance, but it's a lie. It's a facade, quite frankly.
Sure. Yeah, it's they're Marxists. is what they are. And we have to, and we were talking about this early before we came online. This is no longer an era where you can assume that I'm talking not necessarily your Democrat friends, although some of them too, but Democrats who are in these kinds of political positions, they are not looking out. They don't have a different view of what's in the best interest of the country. It used to be you might have Reagan on one side, you might have Carter on the other side, and both of them you thought had the best interest of the country at heart. They just had a different approach to getting there. This is no longer true. That party, it's interested in destroying the United States. And the evidence is right in front of you that you would be anti-law enforcement, not just anti, let's say, bad actors, but anti-law enforcement in general. That is insane. And that's what they are, unless your objective is to destroy the fabric of society, which they do in more areas than just this. But I'll stop talking now because I'll
oh no, you're doing just fine, Don.
but it's just going on for a second then. But the same people who are advocating that, we don't know what a woman is now, once upon a time, there were groups that stood up for women's rights. And where are they? It's incredible that you have men claiming to be women destroying women's sports and outfits like the ACLU supporting the destruction of women. It's just amazing to me. And grown blank men watching their daughters go to a swim meet and have a man compete against them and then go to the locker room and undress in front of them. And they let that happen? Are you kidding me? I mean, I can't even imagine what the greatest generation would have done about it. I can.
Right. They're rolling over in their graves, seeing what the hell's going on in our country, quite frankly. But and to your point though of having, oh my God, I just lost my total train of thought. I hate that.
That's okay.
But to have these women to have a group that cannot define what a woman is. Where did the Me Too movement go? You know what I mean? That are fighting for women and going, oh, well, we can't define what they are now. This is ludicrous. And we have to say, no. I don't need a biologist. I know that I'm a woman. I don't need to have a biology degree or anything else or a medical degree. Do not be gaslighted. We cannot allow this narrative to grab hold and take and grow and get roots. We have to stop it.
It's a war on women. It's a war on femininity. It just blows your mind, that a man can just say he's a woman. And I don't care if you have the parts, you're still not a woman. So is there something wrong, with women as they are? I mean, clearly that's what they think. It's incredible to me. And encouraging minors to have their body parts removed, and putting them in positions where by the way, I have to say this. Did you hear about what's happening in Canada, by the way? I can't remember if this is the province or if it's the entire country, but they're in I think they already passed a law that an underage minor can simply go to a doctor and say, I need to have a sex change, and not tell their parents and have it done. Now, wrap your head around that. That's what
I can't wrap my head around that, because you're talking about, our brains develop in different phases as we grow up. And when anybody that has kids knows that the kids is one day, oh, my best friend, I hate them now. And the next day they're all best friends again, and thank God my parents didn't, this wasn't happening when I was a kid, because I was quite the tomboy. But you know what? I'm still a woman. I'm still a girl. I'm still female. I like boys. I like men. I didn't, just because I was a tomboy didn't make me a lesbian, didn't mean I wanted to be a man. I also had two older brothers that I looked up and idolized, and whatever they were doing, I was out there doing with them and enjoying that. So kids don't have the rational thinking to deal with all of this.
Mhm.
They don't, and that's why parents, and frankly, a lot of people about 35, 25 or so, you're finally mentally mature enough, some mature earlier than others, to handle and know really where you're at,
Yeah.
and so, and this really is, I think it was Lori, I'm not sure who, somebody said, I missed the point. Um, Bobby says, I'm a woman in men's clothing. Well, you know what? There's a lot of women that wear men's clothing, and I'm all right with that. But
Mhm.
we can't. We have got to. It's a small group. It truly is a small group that has this huge narrative, and we can't let it overrun the rest of us. We outnumber those people. And you know what? And it's not to say if you want to be gay, it doesn't have anything to do with that.
Mhm.
If you think that you've been born in the wrong body and want to do a sex change, go ahead and do it. I don't frankly care.
Mhm.
I don't agree with you, but you know what? That's okay. That's your life, and you have to live a person is responsible to live their best life, what they think for them. But children do not have the mental capacity, the emotional capacity, the maturity to make these decisions for themselves.
Yeah,
Now,
and
I'm sorry, my rant's over there,
there
Don.
you
Take.
go. I like it. Hey, we both do it, right? I like it. But yeah, it's an attack on childhood. So we have an attack on women. It's an attack on childhood too. Look at what they're trying to do to children. So take away their childhood. You have I forget the name of the group that the Men Boys Love Association, NAMBLA. So they want to change the laws so that children, so minors, can make decisions with regard to having sex when they're kids, right?
Yeah.
So they're pushing for those kinds of laws. They're pushing for laws that allow them to make their own decisions about whether you want to have their body parts removed without their parental permission. They've been doing this with abortion for a long time. Allowing kids to select abortion at the public school, or take birth control without their parents even knowing about it. So it's the elimination. So it's a direct attack on the family. Number one, it is a direct assault on childhood. And we see it all around us. And we can't sit on the sidelines anymore and be afraid to engage in confrontation. Confrontation is a part of it. I mean, they brought the battle to us. So,
And it's okay. It's okay to confrontation isn't a bad thing, quite frankly.
no,
Having a conversation and helping to enlighten others, but also pushing back and not be gaslighted like, oh my gosh, we have to accept this. You know what? No, we don't. We
no,
don't have to accept this. We don't have to accept what's getting taught, the narrative of what they're trying to teach in schools, or
mhm,
that a parent doesn't have the right over their child
mhm,
and their decisions. Or you know what? You are who is responsible. You are the parent
mhm,
is I don't have children, but I have plenty of family and friends that do.
sure.
But so I'll just lay that out right now. So I'm not a parent,
Mhm,
but a parent has brought forth, given birth, a woman has, to
mhm,
that child.
mhm,
And that child is their responsibility, as I have learned from others forever. I'm still my mom's little girl. My
sure.
brothers are still my mom's little boys, no matter how old they get, right?
You will
You
always be.
love them forever.
Mhm.
And yeah,
I know
it's
my
not
mother
the
might.
school district and it's not the government that has the right over the children.
My mother's 87 years old, but I think that belt still hangs in the closet.
And if you got out of line, Don, let me tell you,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
doubt it
baby.
today.
She might throw that cane on the side and come chase me down. You never outgrow that.
Yeah. So, we do have to not be, as Don and I were talking, we can't be part-time Republicans anymore or part-time conservatives. We have to we're in a battle. We're in a battle for our state. We're in a battle for our nation. And we have to be the warriors all the time in all the areas, but we have to still take care of ourselves. We were also having that conversation, because and you would know with your military experience, you can't just be in battle all the time. You have to recharge yourself, recharge our batteries, but not just because you're doing that doesn't mean you're giving up the fight by any means.
Yeah. Oh, I just have to laugh at Lori's comment about me running from my mom. Let me tell you, she was pretty quick too.
Yeah.
They don't listen. Don't look at her and think don't let her lie to you. That same woman used to walk around with a belt around her neck. That's called law enforcement.
Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, Sonny, I'll give you a poignant moment that I had. Like most of us in life, when you have things that you love, we grow accustomed to them and then we don't appreciate them. And, until they're taken away from us or threatened with leaving us. I'm sure pretty much everyone listening to this can think of a loved friend or a loved family member or a loved grandparent. And then when they were gone, you had this giant hole in your life. And then you're thinking, man, I really didn't embrace that when I had it, right? Well,
Right.
That was the feeling that overcame me as I watched the Communist Party steal the last election. And then I watched the destruction that ensued. And I began to think to myself and really appreciate what an unbelievable country I've been raised in. The United States is so off the charts better than any other country that's ever existed. It is insane. When you look at it by the statistics, it's unbelievable. The richest country in the world, by far, the best medical care, by far. More people immigrate here than any other country in history, by far. And people vote with their feet, right? If they didn't like it, they'd be leaving, right? People swim across rivers over machine gun fire. They walk across deserts. People do anything to get what we were born with. I mean, how fortunate are we? When were you last hungry? I mean, even my parents in the 30s, they were never hungry. I mean, they might have had 2 meals a day instead of 3, but they were never like starving. And when you start looking at the rest of the history of the world in any other countries, man, that was common. In Russia, they were eating each other.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand. In the Ukraine, they literally were starving to death and they were eating their family members. People don't know this history. And the more you know that history, the more you appreciate what a sensational place that we have been so fortunate enough to grow up in. And my heart began to ache that my kids wouldn't have what I had.
Right.
And that's why we're talking right now. And I'm sure that's the same reason why Sonny's here.
Absolutely.
And you want your children and grandchildren to have at least what you had, then you're going to have to get off your rear end and then get in the fight. That's where it is.
Amen. We have to fight to preserve what we have. I've traveled a lot, Don, as you well know, and there's nobody leaving anywhere to risk their life to get to Cuba or to get to Venezuela or to get to Honduras or to Guatemala. I mean, I can, just start naming the countries. Or they're not breaking into Russia either, quite frankly.
Yeah.
This
is it.
This is it. People die. They risk their lives and their livelihood and everything in order to get to America, or to Europe, because there's boat over in the Med. There's boats sinking over there for people trying to get a better life and a way to get to Europe. But, so we're fighting for Oregon right now, and we've got this election. And, we're 5 days away. 5 days away.
Yeah.
5 days away is election day. Even though we won't know the real outcome in Oregon, since they count the ballots for a week more, that shouldn't be allowed, quite frankly.
And imagine what could go wrong with that.
Oh yeah, yeah. What can go wrong with that? So I posted though. We were talking about women, and I posted the article there about Tina Kotek, and this is from the Washington Free Beacon. And she says that she's a defender of women, but she has a history of ignoring sexual harassment complaints, and she's even had complaints against herself. And so in 2018, there's an investigation found the Democrat gubernatorial candidate fostered a sexually hostile environment in the Oregon State House. And she was the Speaker of the House
Wow.
and has been for a long time. And there was complaints and lawsuits filed at the height of the Me Too movement that alleged that Kotek for years ignored accusations of sexual misconduct against state lawmakers. And she would be, if she were to win. We have to talk about the truth, because if she were to win, let me tell you, nothing's improving at all
Oh,
in
yeah,
any
you
facet, any way, shape, or form in Oregon.
yeah, her and the other one, Johnson,
Yep.
it's the same thing you've already had. And the beautiful thing, as bad as this sounds, you don't have to be an intellectual genius this go round. It's not theoretical what would happen if they'd been in power. We've seen what would happen when they are in power. In fact, I just saw an article on YouTube the other day. There was yet another Starbucks that closed in downtown Portland. I don't know if you heard that story, right? In the
Yes.
Pearl District, nice, upscale, hip, right? Closed because of safety. Now, if you got to close because of safety in the Pearl District, right? We're not talking 82nd Avenue. We're not talking deep Southeast Portland, right? We're talking the Pearl. You can't even walk the streets in the Pearl. That's the kind of environment that people like Kotek have created. If you want more business closings, you want more businesses fleeing the state, you want more needles in the street, you want more needles your kids can't even play in the playground. You want more fentanyl and crime in the streets, right? You want more violence. You want more, shootings. You want more drive-bys. You want more people flouting the law on the freeway and going 100 miles an hour, racing across the 405 bridge. There have been drag races. It's like some sci-fi flick, right? You want more of that, then vote for these two, because that's what you're going to get.
Well, 100%. And there's been an investigation actually into the conduct of Kotek, and Republicans in the House on the House Conduct Committee said Kotek created a hostile workplace for another lawmaker in
Mhm.
2019, and the Democrats disagreed. Well, these workplace complaints stalled against Tina Kotek after the committee deadlocks. You know, well, let's see. I would say that's timely because of the election, 5 days away. This article is an OPB, came out today,
Mhm.
that the committee has deadlocked. And the Oregon Legislative Committee could not agree on Monday whether the former House Speaker created a hostile workplace in 2019. Are you kidding me? This is all politics. This is like
Well,
totally politics.
well, I
And
got to tell
she
you,
threatened a fellow Democrat to convince him to vote in favor of a priority bill. Well, that's what I've heard, is she is a person who definitely makes threats.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. Well, that would be the MO of the Democratic Party. I mean, that's how business gets done there. They threaten you. They threaten to shut you down. They threaten to out you. They threaten to block your bank account. They threaten to picket your house. I mean, that's what they do. There's no civic discourse with these people. It's either you agree with me 100% or you shut up, right? That's
Right.
how they roll. That's how they roll.
Well, it is how they roll. And so I'm posting another story, and this has to do with Tina and Kate have allowed for the release of a serial sex offender. And there's I've got a couple of stories here on that. The victims are outraged at the parole board designating this Oregon jogger rapist, a not habitual. He doesn't have to register as a sex offender or anything. And frankly, this is crap.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it. This is wrong on so many levels.
Yeah. You have to ask yourself what is your motive? Because one thing we know, I think pretty much this is known in law enforcement circles. Serial sex offenders are incurable.
Yep.
And it used to be that if you reached stage 3, you just were in prison for the rest of your life because you were forever a danger to society. When you think of the personal nature of that crime, it's different from getting beat up. It's different from getting robbed. I mean, hell, it's even different from getting murdered. Um, and societies all over the world have understood that. You do that, and generally speaking, something very bad happens to you. And these people want to release these people back into the community. And of course, guess which communities they normally go back into? Is usually not the places where liberals live behind their gated communities.
And this is a habitual rapist. This is a serial rapist. This is a very serious crime to women. And to my knowledge, he hasn't killed anybody yet. But you know what? After being locked up, maybe that's the next part. Because, I do believe that people do escalate in what they're doing, or maybe it just goes wrong because they don't want to get caught and now sent back to prison. So, oh, I've got to really silence her. And this is just so wrong because we are a nation of laws that this should not be happening. And so there's, some stories out about this. And I know that we've covered this on Captive Audience, but quite frankly, as a woman, this is a woman's nightmare of being raped, the possibility of being raped. And, it's why I have a concealed carry. It's why there's pepper spray around me, and it's situational awareness. It's so because this is absolutely a woman's like worst nightmare, and something that, as I don't know, as a guy, I don't think that's something you think about. But as a woman, it's something you think about when you see some people and you just go, oh, I wonder, what's going
And
to happen there. It's not necessarily mugging or getting robbed. It's getting raped. And it's such
Yeah.
It's the words are not coming. It's what I
No,
want to say.
it's
That's
no, because
awful.
there aren't words. I mean, and quite frankly, I can't imagine, what that would be like. And then
No.
on the other side, to think that my daughter, my mother, my sister, my cousins, my friends could be subjected to something like that.
Yeah.
Um, there was a time when we protected people from these kinds of things. And what the Democratic Party has decided to do is to not do the one thing that is government's central purpose, and that is to protect the citizens. Everything else is ancillary to that, and they will not even do that.
Yeah. And that this is the thing with this guy gets out. The public won't be warned where he lives. He won't come up on a sex offender website. And the two of his victims and an expert are questioning the parole board's process.
Mhm.
He's raped as young as 13 years old.
Yeah, you're not going to fix them.
You're not going to fix him. And, so I'll tell you, you're not going to fix him. And so, does the next victim of his get to sue the state? Get to sue the parole board? I don't know,
Yeah.
because there will be another victim with him getting out. I
Well,
just about,
I
yeah,
I
you
certainly hope
know,
so. Yeah, I hear you, Pat.
yeah, me
There,
too.
there are
That's
countries.
what I was chuckling at. Yeah, you
There,
know,
there are countries in the world where they do that. By the way.
yeah. So okay, so now we're gonna switch gears. There's this report of the Lund report, the Oregon's constitutional amendment for affordable health care sparks debate. And it should spark debate, because they're talking about a universal healthcare, one payer system, that your insurance, I have private insurance that I pay for, would not even be good any longer. And so if there is, part of the debate is, if there's, who do you sue when you have a medical situation gone wrong?
That's called tough noogies.
SOL, is that the SOL part?
SOL would be the other part. I mean,
Tough and SOL. Okay.
it's been a communist dream forever to have centralized healthcare, because that you're looking at roughly 16 to 70% of the economy that would be instantly communized. That's the reason they want to do it. And anyone who's ever read about or know about what happens in communist countries with the healthcare system, yeah, you got free healthcare, but think about all the things that you got for free and what the quality of that was. My favorite example is the public bathroom. That's free. And what kind of quality do you see in a public bathroom? Well, generally, that's a bathroom, let's face it, you don't want to have to sit down. Right? That's what you get. And healthcare, when everybody owns it, no one owns it. And what it will do is destroy the quality. And so you'll wind up paying on the black market for true healthcare. What will happen is the lines will be up the wazoo. No physicians will want to go into that field, because to study all those years to become a physician and then get out and not get paid anything, which is the other thing. So people of quality aren't going to go into it. There'll be a shortage of physicians. There'll be lines forever. The quality of healthcare that you get will be terrible. It's an insane idea that's bankrupt on its face. And then last but not least, and I'll actually be quiet here, one of the reasons why our system works so well in a free market economy is you have competition. So you have multiple insurance companies, multiple physicians, multiple hospitals, all competing for your business. And if you only have one provider, you are SOL, right? Because that's all you got.
Right.
And that's what government control of anything does. So why does Amtrak stink? Because it's got no competition. Why does the Postal Service stink? Because it's got no competition. Why does DMV stink? Because it's got no competition, right? So that's the position you put yourself in when you get something for free. What you get is crap at the end of the day.
This measure, the Bruce Goldberg, former director of Oregon Health Authority, said the ballot measure would establish healthcare as a right in Oregon, not a privilege. And you know what? There's nothing in the Constitution that says healthcare is a right.
No, and think about
it's not a right.
That very statement. Yeah, you don't have a right to somebody else's labor.
You don't. It's not a right. Now, we've have laws on the books that a hospital cannot turn you away for healthcare. You have an emergency, you go to the hospital, they can't turn you away. They've got to treat you. And the bill more than likely will even be forgiven. Hospitals do this all the time. And the very poor of our society, actually it's the middle class, in my opinion, that really gets hurt in the medical industry when they have an issue, because of the how much you've got to pay out of pocket these days. You can thank Obamacare for a lot of the changes to our healthcare system that are not truly, like my husband really shouldn't have to be forced to be paying for birth control. That's ridiculous, right? And
or how about sex change operations?
Yeah, or sex change operations. And so this is not, healthcare is a privilege. And those that have the money are able to pay for a health insurance that covers more things. And those that don't. But they still have health care. Now, there are definitely problems. Am I saying the system is fair? No. But you know what? Life isn't fair either.
Right.
It's not designed to be fair.
Mhm.
Now, do I sound cold and callous? Well, to some, maybe I might. But life isn't fair, and the system isn't designed to be fair at all. But it is, you can get health care, and there's a lot of groups out there to give you aid and help when you have, especially the very poor, to me, have it much easier in our nation because everything is given to them. But it
Well,
is our middle class, which is shrinking all the time,
yeah, and you
that
see, and
that
that's yeah.
really gets hurt.
And you always have to look at the goals of the Democratic Party. So they'll say things like, our goal is to help people with healthcare. We have a fantastic system, and maybe like 15 to 20% of the people don't have insurance, for example. Well, if only 15 to 20% don't have access to a great system, then fix the 15 to 20%. Don't throw away the fantastic system for the other 80%. But you see that all the time with the Democratic Party, because the goal is not to improve healthcare. The goal is to communize it. That is the goal. Um,
Yes, it is. And I'll tell you, I don't I this is not where we need to go. We need to vote no on this, vote no on Measure 111, and not change our Constitution. In fact, there's three ballot measures that want to change our Constitution. I keep reading somewhere that it says there's only two, but there are three. 11, 12, and 13 want to change our Constitution, and 114, it's 111, 112, 113. 114 is all about our guns. And but all of those need a no vote, totally, in my opinion. And so the individual right to sue, this is where the controversy is on this ballot measure, 111, on changing about our health care. So in Oregon, the ballot measure also would allow anyone to sue on an individual basis according to a legal opinion from the Oregon Office of the Legislative Council. Um, I've lost Don. Don's calling me. Hey, Don.
Hey, son, are you frozen on your side too?
No, I'm not. I'm still on, and I don't know where you went. Come back in. Okay. I lost Don. I didn't realize it. I was looking at a different screen. So I hope Don will come back in and we'll finish this program together. We'll see if he does, if he is able to. I had seen his screen frozen, but I could still hear him talking. I went, well, let's just carry on here, because that happens to David, right? David's screen gets frozen, but can't even hear him talking. So that was kind of weird. So I'm going to move on off of the healthcare thing. We've got another national election forecaster has moved Oregon's 5th district. I know we want Don back too. I want Don back too. I like being on with Don. So in this article is another national forecaster has moved Oregon's 5th district to leaning Republican. And, that's really good news that Lori Chavez DeRemer is looking like, let's pray that she wins this race, because her opponent would just be another awful opponent, and we don't want her at all. Jamie McLeod Skinner is horrible. And so I was really pleased to see that the Democrats have stopped funding her, realizing that this is a lost race, and Lori Chavez DeRemer needs to win this and take this seat absolutely for Oregon's 5th district. This will be very, very good to having this going Republican. So then I wanted to bring something else up that. And Pat, I see your comment of poor people will vote for anything free. And I'll tell you, I don't know that they will all vote for anything free. That has certainly been a narrative. But, I've been talking with a lot of Hispanics lately, and they see the writing on the wall. They know, and especially, I people that have come from other countries, um, not just those that are born here in America, but that have come from other countries. They don't vote for the free stuff because they know what happened. They totally get what happened in their own country and why they needed to leave. They understand what communism is and socialism is, and they see that actually this is what the Democrats are trying to do to our nation and definitely our state. These ballot measures, I don't know exactly where they all came from, but I do believe that there are outside influences definitely paying to get the enough signatures to get these things on the ballot, because Oregon is a testing ground. It's a testing ground. Let's see if we can make this fly in Oregon. There we go. Oh, we've got another state. And because there are people that definitely keep voting for bad bills, but we shouldn't change our constitution, the Oregon Constitution, so easily and so readily. It really should only be about really important things. And frankly, I don't think universal health care is a good change at all. And they're coming after trying to do it by a ballot measure to do that because they're not able to do that in the legislature. That's another thing. Hey, I wanted to point something out to you. I don't know if you all know Senator Dennis Linthicum, and he's out of around Clackamas, not Clackamas, sorry, Klamath Falls, Klamath County. Sorry, definitely not out of Clackamas. And I've received his newsletters. So I'm going to post his website right here, because sign up for his newsletters. He has been writing some really good articles on these ballot measures and what the repercussions of them can be. But I don't want to forward my link to those emails that I get, because somebody could unsubscribe me, and I don't want that to happen. So I thought the next best way to be, hey, here's Don back.
Okay,
You're
I'm back.
back.
Who knows?
All right. We're
Okay.
glad to have you back.
I'm
And
glad to be back.
so I was just talking about Senator Dennis Linthicum, who's out of Klamath area, and he has written some really good articles on these ballot measures that are going across the state, that are statewide ballot measures. And I get them, but I didn't want to post my own link to his email, because somebody could unsubscribe me, from that.
Yeah.
But by going to his website, he really writes some good stuff that's bringing what those repercussions could be legislatively to Oregon, and the repercussions of those really bad bills. And yes, we all missed you. We wanted you back, Don. So glad you got back in here.
Thank you.
I saw you froze up, but the funny part, you were froze up, but we could still hear you talking.
Right. Yeah, I saw that and I said, well, I'll just keep rolling with this. And then all of a sudden the whole thing stopped. I assumed it was for both of us, but who knows? We're getting this technology thing down. My whole computer decided they wanted to reboot in the middle of the call, right? So what can you do?
So, well, there we are.
Yeah.
So, Don, I'm going to give you the last words.
The last words. Wow. So, I love to end on a positive note. And we have so much to be positive and thankful for. Yes, it's been an ugly ride, but I think we see the light at the end of the tunnel. The good news is that the Democrat Party has finally exposed itself for what many have been saying it truly is for a long time. For the last 20 years, people have shouted from the rooftops, this is where we're headed. And we just failed to, the rest of us, I think, really failed to believe it. I remember, you might remember Robert Bork, right? Back in the 80s, he wrote a book called Slouching Towards Gomorrah back in the early 90s. And I remember reading it. But you just never thought that it would really get to this point, where they're wanting to like to turn men into women, women into men, make black kids hate white kids hate black kids, you know, get rid of the police, drive drugs and open the border. I mean, there's virtually nothing. Attack us with make us wear a mask, make us inject ourselves. People losing their jobs and their livelihoods because they won't take a vaccine that doesn't work, and as it turns out, is causing an increase in the death rate. It is unbelievable what the radical left has done and what it's taken for us to finally listen to those people who were talking about this clear back 20 or 30 years ago. But now that that's happened, it's undeniable and it's no longer theoretical. I think people now drive the streets of Seattle, they drive the streets of Portland, streets of San Francisco, Los Angeles, Minneapolis, Baltimore, St. Louis. You go through the list. Every place Democrats rule is a communist hellhole. And I think that people are going to finally vote with their feet in about 6 days here.
Well, Don is freezing up a little bit. Oh, there you came back now. Okay. And I pray for this election, that people, we need the voter turnout. We need conservatives that are tired of what's going on and how their lives have been affected by all of this, and vote conservative, down the ballot, and let's not pass any of these bills. So, Don, thank you very much. Thank you. It's wonderful to be back on Wonderful Wednesdays with you. It's been a while. And everybody, share the message. Thank you for your participation and the comments. We really appreciate it, and share our message.
Home stretch, folks. Love it.
Yep, home stretch is right. All right. See you later.
Bye now.